Welcome to another ALEKS Geometry Topic instructional video by Mr. Hardy. In this video, what we're going to do is we're going to look at what we call a piecewise rectangular prism. So a rectangular prism is something that just has three dimensions. Think of it as it has a, let's call this a length and a height and maybe a depth. It doesn't really matter what you call them, but it has three dimensions: a length, a height, and a depth. And then the reason why they call it piecewise is it's made up, like this one here is made up of two pieces, so to speak. You can kind of see two prisms. And in fact, ALEKS, I couldn't help but copy this. ALEKS does a great job explaining this. Okay, so the volume of a prism is equal to, say, the length times the width times the height, or whatever you want to call these dimensions. And so the volume here, the way we would find the volume here is we'd find the total volume, let's call it the volume of 1 plus the volume of 2. So we call this like part 1, and this would be part 2. Okay, so we're going to actually do volume calculations twice. And if you look at this figure, you can see that the height is 4, the depth is 6, and the width is 3. So we can do something like 3 times 4 times 6. And then over here, I mean, it's easy to see here, but over here you can see that it's 6 times 3 times 6. Okay, so 6 times 6 times 3. That's all you have to do. And to set it up, so you can find a calculator if you want. Where's mine? Here we go. If I have it in standard mode, I have to do 2 calculations and then add them. If I put it into scientific mode, I can do this all at once. I can say 3 times 4 times 6 plus 6 times 6 times 3. So I get 180. So the volume is equal to 180, and these would be cubic centimeters, okay, because it's centimeter times centimeter times centimeter. Okay, let's take a look at one more real quick. So sometimes you break them up into parts. So here we could break this up. This is how ALEKS shows to do it. And we could say that this is like prism 1, prism 2, prism 3. So the volume is equal to prism 1 plus the volume of prism 1 plus the volume of prism 2 plus the volume of prism 3. That's one way to do it. Another way that I think is kind of cool that I want to do is, because I think it's easier, is to look at this one and say, hey, why don't I find the volume for the whole thing and forget about the hole for a minute. So the volume for, let's call it the big, that's equal to 4 times 14. 4 times 14 times 14. Okay, and then what I can do is we'll cut this out. So this will be like the volume of the small. That's going to be 8 times the depth. The depth is 4, so it'll go back, it goes deep 4. Okay, and then the question is, what is this height right here? Well, we know that this height is 14, right? So this part is 6 and 6, so that's 12. So we need 2 more. This has to be 2 in order for this whole thing to be 14. So it's times 2. Okay, so what we get is, with the calculator, we get, I'm going to clear this, 4 times 14 times 14 equals 784. So 784. And then, let's see, clear, 8 times 4 times 2 equals 64. So what we're going to want to do is we sort of subtract to cut this. We're just like cutting this hole out so that it won't have volume. So we subtract. So 4 take away 4 is 0. 8 take away 6 is 2. And bring down to 7. So the volume for the whole thing is 720 centimeters squared. Okay. Alright, so that's how you do these piecewise rectangular prisms. So you're going to see different kinds of shapes. So you can either take the volume of the whole thing and then subtract a little piece, or break it up into parts and find the volume of all the parts and then add those up. Alright, good luck.